Test mic 1, 2, 3. Test mic 1, 2, 3. Okay. Test mic 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. Okay. I just want to do a little bit tonight, but I want to finish this as soon as possible because I want to continue the Da Vinci portrait. So I need to finish this. If but you don't want to rush anything, right? Just don't rush anything, and you'll be fine. So let's not do that. Let's not rush. Zero brush. I'm gonna add a little bit of red here. It looks like let's see. Let's use brighter red first. Let's see. Let's see. A bit thin. Let's see this. Let's see. Okay. Spread it around. Spread it around a little bit. See what we get here. Then coat the paint. Now I read a post yesterday, and this guy said he doesn't want to do oils because it's too expensive and stuff like that. Um, so I want to recommend a paint that is not expensive, but it also is good enough. So it doesn't, our paint doesn't have to be like this expensive, super expensive paints, right? Because all we need to consider is what pigments are being used in these paint tubes, right? And how much of it. So if they're using dyes in their paint, or are they using pure pigment? So the thing is, some people tend to hate, can have this aversion to Chinese paint. As a matter of fact, Chinese pigments are really good. Okay, if you know a good brand like some manufacturers actually get their pigments from China. And I think a lot of companies right now, except from companies, maybe that's why companies in Europe are selling their paints at a high price because they have to import their paint from China, right? Because China has all of this manufacturing capability there. And they produce raw materials and stuff. So some of these people who hate Chinese products don't realize that the products they love, the pigments, come from China. So manufacturers don't tell you where the raw pigments come from. Maybe there's a difference when it comes to the mulling process, you know, packaging. Of course, you have to pay for middlemen, right? So that's why some things are expensive. It's not because something is expensive or cheap. It doesn't change the quality. You know. Most most products follow that rule, but there are things like pigments, right? You just have to know what type of pigment is in use and how fine these pigments are because if you buy cheap paints, sometimes those paints have not a very uh, fine. It's like painting with you know a little bit sandy. You can see the particles, and some paints are really so smooth, like Lucas. Lucas is cheap. It's not. I can afford it. I'm a third world country. I can afford it. You just have to buy one tube per month, and you can get like 10 tubes in a year, and that's 200 ml tubes. So like I was saying, Lucas is very good quality, and the pigments are so smooth. They're so fine. It's so amazing and wonderful to use for glazing and stuff like that. Okay, so if you're not using glazing, if you don't glaze, you can use the cheaper ones, the cheaper products like Montmartre, Montmartre, Montmartre. It's a really good paint. They have very strong. The pigmentation is really strong, and I think they have certificate for international, you know, quality. And I think they won't be selling stuff that will just fade in about, you know, 6 months. Of course, if your work is really good, you know, it also depends on what medium you're using and what, uh, let's say, what do you call that? There are UV protection in some, what do you call that? Oh, it's not getting in my head. Anyway, there are methods to protect your painting, just as long as the pigments are right and you like the consistency of it. Like for example, there are times when I manually mix calcium carbonate to my paint because I want a thicker application and you know I want to cover a large area and it's just a base coat. So and I want it to absorb more oil and stuff like that. So I actually add the calcium carbonate manually and I overload the paint with calcium carbonate. Depends on your handling of the paint. So Montmartre, it's it's good. It has a very strong colors, and I don't think they're using uh, mixing. Uh, what do you call that? It's from India. It is use it in India. It's like it's things. It adds color to the things. Of course, top brands that are very expensive because they have a reputation to keep, right? So they have to, they know that people kind of have this bias towards expensive, but in the modern world, I highly doubt these things still apply in a, there's a limit, at some point the expense of the amount you're paying really doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't count anymore. It's like there's a term for that. So sorry. So if you want to have, confidence and stuff like that, Lucas, I think that's my most expensive paint that I have is Lucas, and I'm collecting them currently. I don't buy the cadmiums though. Don't buy it. I don't purchase cadmiums because it's really a waste. So I don't paint in that level of vibrance. So for my cadmiums, I use um, Maurice Maurice paint. It's a Chinese product, but it's professional. They've been making paints for a long time. Some people just blindly go against it, but I have Classico. I tried Classico, compared it to the Maurice Master. Just use the Maurice Master, not the Maurice Student Grade. Maurice Master. I compared it, and the Maurice are more fine, more finely ground than compared to Classico. Classico is a little bit thick. There's a lot more additive to it. So if you're on a budget, I recommend getting Mia, Mia oil paints for your base colors, for laying down your paints. Also, Montmartre would be for you can use Montmartre as a base or also as a main color. If you're doing a la prima, Montmartre is good. They have clean colors. You can mix them. It's fine. And of course, like I said before, the previous video, it's not just about the pigments. When you to achieve clean mixes, it's not just about the quality of the pigment. Of course, there's a level. The more calcium carbonate there is, or any additives, because carbonate is a little bit gray, and when it dries, it kind of dries into like a dead color. If that makes sense. Skin tone here. Need it to be light. So the compatibility of the paints is also important. So Montmartre, which is Montmartre, Mia. So here's a rundown. The lowest would be Mia. Mia is about $2 per tube here in the country. Oh no, not $2. Four, four USD. Oh hey man, what's up? You're back. You're back with the morbid. Uh, were you that guy? Last night? Can't remember because there was two of you. I was really sleepy. How's it going? How's your day? So start with you can start with Mia as like the lowest quality flying coats, but you can use it unless you get a commission. I think it's fine. And then you can use Montmartre. It's just a little bit more pricey, just $1 more. So a 75 ml tube of Montmartre would be $2. So $4 to match with Mia, which is Mia is like no, Mia is $4, right? Montmartre is but Mia is 200 ml. The good thing about Mia is their tubes are really packed with paint, and there's not much oil in it. With Montmartre, it's a little bit loaded with oil, so you have like fewer paint inside of each tube. It's too oily, so you're buying smaller amount compared to Mia. So the advantage with Mia is it's good for initial layer. It has more filler in it, so you're basically building up your base, the absorbency and flexibility of your canvas. And then Next, on top of that, after Mountmart, you can use uh, Maurice, Maurice Master as your artist grade. Maurice Master would equal to Lucas Studio. They have the same price, but Lucas Studio is a little bit more consistent. Uh, Maurice can be oily. It's like not very consistent. The tubes, some tubes have less paint in it, but so far, I think the paints that I bought have the same, are packed the same way, same weight, same amount of paint, same oily. There's just other tubes like those transparent red oxide tubes. I think I understand why there was more oil in it because red oxides really dry very fast. So as a manufacturer, you would like to add more oil in it just to avoid it from drying inside the tube. After that, you have Maurice Masters. Then you can go Lucas Studio. And the benefit with Lucas paints, Lucas Studio and the Lucas 1870, 1860, forget, is that they added beeswax. This can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you want. Beeswax makes the paint smoother to apply, makes it dry faster, and adds durability to the film. So your paint film would be more durable with beeswax than without it. I think their formulation is really good because you don't notice the beeswax like overflowing everywhere, it's affecting your paint. It's just like you're gonna have a smooth paint, so easy to apply if you're used to. Some people don't like it because it kind of feels like acrylic, right? It's a little bit slidey. Some people like a drier paint, like painting almost uh, dry, dry brush. Some people like that, so they kind of don't like Lucas because of that. And some like this consistency, buttery consistency that they speak about. It's like, I think it's like having uh, calcium carbonate mixed into your paint. So if you want to make Lucas sticky like that, you can add calcium carbonate. But Lucas is very good for glazing. Lucas eating their pro line is really good for glazing. You actually don't need to add too much, medium to it. Because it dries quick, it's really good. And what was I trying to say? I was trying to say something. I forgot. Anyway, that's it. So Mia, Mia oil paint, uh, Mountmart, Lucas Studio, uh, Marie's Master, Lucas Studio, and Lucas Pro. Even the Lucas water mixable, it's really good. I have a tube, cadmium red Lucas water mixable, and it's really good. It's so smooth. It's amazing. It's really amazing. So if you want to do water mixable, Lucas is really good, and it's not expensive. I'm mixing some red here to apply this area. We'll darken this later, so now I can't gauge how much blues to add here. So some people like it like this. It's like a very dry paint. It's like painting with chalk, but a little bit wet kind of chalk. So some people like to paint like that. Some people like to paint like wet, super wet. That would be glazing. Someone like to paint. Uh, it's the dryness of the paint. Is what I'm trying to say. This one is really dry. It's good for creating gradients like this. Because if your paint is too wet, it's gonna be hard. Because you're gonna be fighting with liquid mechanics. So it has to be a little bit dry like this. That's why Leonardo da Vinci said it's better to have your medium standing for a while so that it's a little bit dry. I think he likes it like this. So kind of discovered this accidentally because I keep my palette. I don't throw away unused paint. So my palette is. I'm using. Let me show you my palette just for reference. So this palette is not I'm using. This is just a modified palette. I bought cheap, you know, food container. It's very lightweight. So this cheap food container, I cut it in half in the middle here. Then just glued the back, place the back inside because it's smaller, right? Because it's a little bit angled. Then glued it. Then I took uh, 1/4, one half, I think 1/2 inch um, styrofoam, placed it beneath just to lift it up a little bit so it's not too deep. My goal is to minimize the amount of air that's going to be staying here. The less, the better. But I don't want to stick. I don't want the paint to stick to the cover. So I then placed mylar. You can use plastic, any plastic. I have mylar here, so I used mylar. You can use folders and stuff like that. So I just placed it here. I colored, painted on the styro, then just double tape, double-sided tape to place the mylar here. The mylar, I can clean this after, but of course, as time goes on, the mylar will scratch and stuff like that. So I have to replace it. So I don't want to glue it directly onto the styro. So I can replace it just in case something happens. So I just use double-sided tape, and then just have this a cup, a little bit cup, and with this aluminum, to protect the plastic from the clove oil, because I realized after using clove oil, it kind of softens plastic. Some plastics it kind of soften it, and you know it melts. It kind of melts the plastic. So I don't want that. So I just put it on cotton, then protect the plastic with aluminum foil. So by doing this, my paints kind of slowly become drier and drier on the palette itself. It's not completely dry. It has still manageable, but the oil, it kind of made doing this soft transitions easy. So I used to do soft transitions, of course, using raw paint. It's a little bit hard because it's wet. It's like controlling the amount of water on this area and this area. It's like it's hard. Water liquid mechanics is hard to control. So either you're utilizing an absorbent ground like watercolor, right? You can add pigment and here less pigment. So you let the ground absorb the oil, the water. Basically the same principle. The only thing with dry, semi-dry painting like this is you have to watch out for peeling. But so far, I haven't experienced it yet because I'm using liquid. Liquid has this property that when it dries or semi-dries, it kind of becomes sticky. So you can take advantage of that. Gel Kid is I don't like using Gel Kid raw because it's like water. It's too liquid. So liquid is like semi-gel. I like that, and it doesn't dry too fast. And here in my country, sometimes it's too warm. But the more I paint, the more I got used to this type of paintings, like a little bit sticky painting. After this, I let it dry for a couple of days, sometimes 2 weeks, just to make sure. And then I coat it again with liquid. Just seal everything. Mm. In that case, your painting will never, you can roll it and it's not gonna crack. So look at this. The palette, it's not really wet, right? It's not really wet. It's like those makeup things girls use. The same principle, using the same principle with gouache. If you use a wet layer, if you paint here, this one is too wet, it's going to slightly activate the paint below. So when I concentrate on applying it here, I'm gonna be pushing all of the paint underneath it towards the sides. You have to be careful with that. You can use that technique. For example, you want to expose the previous layers more, and you can use it. What's the time? It's been 38 minutes. So, I guess I can add more corrections here. Minor corrections. Just use the bluish light. So, toothpaste, right? The consistency of my paint here is like toothpaste right now. Toothpaste. And right, when you add water to toothpaste, then it's going to be much more difficult to handle it. It's gonna be flowing everywhere. So toothpaste. So this is like toothpaste painting. Feels more like toothpaste painting. It's just the subtleties. That's what makes this fun. Like looking for the subtleties, not only in value but in tone. So this is like tonal painting mixed with tonal painting, but blended tonal painting. Also, the pressure of your brush and the hardness of your brush will help you or become a problem for you, depending on the thing that you want to do. For example, here I want to layer a red on top of those uh, lower layers of yellow. If I use a hard brush like a hog hair brush, it's gonna scrape everything down. So I need to use this. I think this is synthetic uh, Kolinsky. Now these are cheap brushes, but they are very soft. So I can use this to blend that. Uh, So there's a slight scraping I'm doing. Yeah, it's just so again, when it comes to oil paint being expensive, sometimes the expense comes because you're painting too thickly. Okay, you don't have to paint too thick. Look at this. This is not thick. It's a very thin application. Watching YouTube videos, right? And then we see people like painting with super thick paint. And that's not really the only way to paint. Don't have to paint like that. If I paint like that, I would probably use 50 ml or 30 or 20 ml every session. You don't need to. It's a matter of technique. You know, if you're in the Renaissance, you can paint thickly like that. You have to be frugal in your paint. Renaissance. The third Renaissance. I don't know what to paint next. Maybe we'll be painting. I want to paint. I want to paint the Da Vinci. I draw the Da Vinci. While sometimes too much detail painting can be a little bit draining to the mental faculty. So I like to shuffle. So maybe we can also do uh, celebrity portraits. So if you like celebrities, we will do BTS portraits because they're a little bit easier to paint because there's not much detail to it. Maybe we'll do BTS portraits. I have to look for BTS photos first. We can do BTS fun art, fan art, fan art. Oh, I watched Furiosa. It was really good. Of course, there's nothing philosophical about it, no deeper meaning. It's an action movie. And you wonder, right, with Sargent paintings and stuff like that, how does he make those brushstrokes appear? It's just about the consistency of your paint. You can't make it too wet, you can't make it too dry. So it's a mix of both. You have to find that consistency. So when you put the paint like that, it's gonna appear artistic. I'm mixing tones of cool tones and warm tones here. That's why it looks like that. Kinda looks like cool just here. Because this is a bluish white and then a warm white here. Kinda make that effect. Lost Gameng. Lost Gameng. How are you doing, Lost Gameng? Sorry I didn't catch your message because it's hard to It's just about warm and cool. Warm, cool, warm, cool, warm, cool. Warm, cool, warm, cool. So it is. Uh, uh, so look, transition to cool, warm, cool. Warm makes cool, cool. So the warm is going to make it like it's glowing. Right? Here I'm gonna add a warm bread here to make that pop. I have to put it beside the cold column. Doesn't have to be smooth, doesn't have to be perfect. Just whatever you feel good. So I teachers say don't overwork, don't overblend, because sometimes you just end up messing up your painting. And of course they use a lot of paint in their application, so it's a little bit more risky. But for me I use a small amount so I can like build up the mixture on the canvas. That way I can like explore the color as I move up. So I have two advantage because I'm quick drying, so I can layer more and then I can mix on the canvas because I'm using thin applications. So I can make the mix here instead of relying on the palette. So maybe you can use that, or let's try painting thin. Experiment. So look at that. Kind of looks nice, right? The nose kind of looks like it's glowing a little bit. It's light passing through. You can see the light passing through. If it's all pure warm light or warm color, it's not gonna look like that. It's gonna look weird. So anyway, that's it for now. My back is already telling me to quit. So when I'm working outside camera, I just walk out, stuff like that. Lie down, maybe, stretch or walk, do some walking, or sometimes exercise. But right now, I'm recovering, so can't do a lot. Hopefully next week we can continue the Da Vinci, and I'm gonna go live with that too. So I guess that's it for now, and I hope you're having a good day. Have a good day. Okay, so see you soon. See you again next time. Bye bye. Matane. Thanks for dropping by.